I'm going to be showing you 3 of the 6 ways that I draw eyes. I always feel like it's really important to start with a simple eye shape. So for this one, I'm just going with the upper eyelid being a soft C shape and filling that in. I wanted to show this in real time instead of just showing these steps because I feel like there are a lot of videos that already explain this, but I use a regular mechanical pencil, something I pick up from the dollar store, and that suffices for me. So when I'm doing the iris, I did a really big iris because I love to have like that feel. I did the bubble at the top right inside the circle to indicate the light source, so it's up there, following up with some eyelashes and the lower lash line. If you're feeling fancy, go ahead and do some eyelashes on the lower lash line and do the upper eyelid line. So fill in and create the indications on where the pupil is going to be and start to shade in the upper area there to create a distinction of how the light is reflecting inside the eye. What I find is important to do is making the lines before you go in, so you're not really guessing on how big and how small it's going to be. So as you see, I did the highlight for the bubble, top right bubble. Then I have the a C shape inside of the iris, and then I have like a highlight area that I will fill in later. So what you're seeing me do here, I'm going in and I'm darkening all the areas that will be necessary when I go in for my secondary shading. So there's going to be like your darkest darks, and then you're going to have like your mid-range shadows, and then you're going to have like the light shadows that aren't quite white. So right now I am making my darkest dark, and immediately you are just seeing the eye come to light. So if you are someone who is very nervous about adding shading and adding some pressure to your line work, you can really get in there and get comfortable over time if you're working on a very large eye. So make sure your eye isn't like 1 inch big. Go outside the box, do 3, 4 inches, 5 inches, a really large eye, so you can give yourself the freedom to explore. So if you can see, I went in, I did the mid-range shading on the eye, inside the eye, and it helps to kind of differentiate that there is an immediate darkness that pulls you into the eye. We have an extreme white, and then we have inside the mid-tone dark, it's still fairly white there too. And now you just see me feathering and building up the shadows so that there is a transition between the eyes. For the second eye here, I'm going to change it up a little and do a little swoop-de-whoop and maybe do a bit more of an eye that reflects the standard shape of a human eye this time. The first eye was a bit more anime-like. This one, I'm going to do a stylized, feminine human eye. So now you see me adding the eyelashes. These ones are quite long, and even if you feel like the eye shape isn't quite what you were looking for, do not feel like you have to just commit to the line that you've done. Adjust, make changes, and explore what is working for you for the style you want. So you see me here, I am sketching the placement of where I see things going in the future. It doesn't have to be there. So as you're shading, the most important things you want to keep in mind are your darkest darks, where that's going to be, like as you see me doing now, your midtones, your light tones, and then your whitest whites. So here, I've shown you, and in my mind, I'm showing you these are the placements that I'm going to be going with. Once you get all the primary placements down, you can go forward and get your your softer pencil to really add some depth to your darkest darks. Using an HB pencil will really put some work on your wrist, and you just won't be able to get those blacks. So here I'm using the dark wing pencils and allowing it to it's really soft. That pencil is really soft and it allows me to get the dark shading really easily. So just as you can see, as soon as I added the lash line, the eye line for the upper eyelid, it really pulls the focus into the eye. And as I'm adjusting the shape of the eye, you can take advantage of the depth that you're pulling into the eye just by focusing and being very intentional how you use the darkness, because the darkness is an indicator of depth and it pulls the focus there. So just look at the eye here as I'm shading it. A dark upper eye line really pulls in the focus, but really getting the pupil to be an absolute black, if this is a black or dark brown eye, you're allowing the viewer to have a leading line from the eye line straight into the core of the eye itself. The reason why it's important to ensure you have some darkness inside of your shading when you're drawing eyes is because if you don't, you will leave the image feeling really flat. You've done all the details, you finished the sketch itself, but you leave the viewer feeling like this is just it. What really pulls viewers in is adding that dimensionality, which comes through having shadows, highlights, and midtones. And this is especially important when you want to emphasize that there is a light source, just like you're seeing in these circles, which are white. This just helps create a distinction. The more dark you create the area surrounding your white, the more the white is going to pop. Now I'm moving on to the third eye. With this eye, I decided to do something that was a bit more neutral. This is also a beautiful eye. We're just taking a route that's not with eyelashes, and it's more like, it reminds me of like a monolid, but I'm going to be adding a upper eyelid still on top of it. So with this one, we're using the same principle. We're getting the pupil in there, the direct light source, and in a moment I'm going to be showing you where I put the secondary bubble that will be filled in gray. So once you have confidence of where you're going to be placing everything, you notice right away I actually went dark because this is the third eye I did in a row. So my confidence is building over time with how I'm placing things. So I went straight into darks much quicker, and with a simpler eye, this is the type of eye I would be drawing in my notebooks when I was in elementary, middle school, high school, university. All throughout my books were just littered with eyes. Eyes are the most interesting feature for me to draw, and it's so addicting. And there's just nothing like spending time doodling while the teacher or the professor is talking and you are doing an accomplished eye on the side. So with this one here, getting those darkest darks really crisp and being able to show the white is truly white. And this one I shadowed in the secondary light at the bottom there. So I really love how this one came out. And now I would just like to share that this video, I'm only going over 3 of the 6 eyes, and I'm going to be following up with the other 3 to make up the 6, because it was going to turn into a really long video. But if you enjoyed watching this video and seeing this content, I encourage you to give this a like so I can share this type of content with people who love to learn about art in a relaxing way.